Over 65? The worst drinks that secretly harm your heart. When we talk about drinks that are bad for your health, we're usually referring to sugary sodas, caffeinated beverages, or alcoholic drinks. However, there are many other drinks out there that may not seem like they're doing you any harm, but in reality, they can actually cause some serious damage to your heart over time. In fact, these drinks are so sneaky that you might not even realize what they're doing until it's too late. And if you're over 65, these drinks can be especially dangerous because as we age, our bodies become more susceptible to the harmful effects of certain substances. That's why it's important for seniors to be aware of the risks of these drinks and make sure they are avoiding them as much as possible. So today, we will take a look at some of the worst drinks for your heart that you should avoid after 65. But before we go further, please take the time to subscribe to the channel. If you find our videos helpful, please support us. Now let's get started. Number 1, fruit juices. Many people believe that fruit juices are a healthy choice, especially when compared to soda and other sugary drinks. However, recent research has shown that drinking large amounts of fruit juice, particularly without the fiber found in whole fruits, can increase the risk of heart disease. Studies have found that consuming a lot of fruit juice, especially from concentrated sources, can raise blood pressure and inflammation levels, both of which are risk factors for heart disease. Fruit juices often contain high levels of fructose, a type of sugar that has been linked to liver damage and increased levels of triglycerides, another risk factor for heart disease. One study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that participants who consumed a high amount of fruit juice had higher levels of triglycerides and smaller blood vessels than those who consumed less fruit juice. Another study published in the Journal of Nutrition reported that adults who drank more than 4 servings of fruit juice per day had an increased risk of developing metabolic syndrome, a cluster of conditions including high blood pressure, high blood sugar, abnormal cholesterol levels, and excess body fat around the waist. It is recommended to consume no more than 1 serving of fruit juice per day, which is equivalent to 8 ounces or 237 milliliters. If you are over 65, it is especially important to limit your intake of fruit juice, as you may be more susceptible to the negative health effects. Number 2, caffeinated beverages. It's no secret that coffee, tea, and other caffeinated beverages are popular among many people around the world. But did you know that drinking too much of these drinks can be harmful to your heart? A recent study published in the Journal of the American Heart Association found that consuming more than 2 to 3 servings of caffeinated drinks daily was associated with an increased risk of heart disease and stroke. The study tracked the caffeine consumption and health outcomes of nearly 45 adolescent people over the course of several years. The researchers discovered that while moderate caffeine intake was not associated with an increased risk of heart disease or stroke, consuming more than 2 to 3 servings of caffeinated drinks daily was linked to a higher risk of cardiovascular events. It's important to note that the study did not prove that caffeine consumption causes heart disease or stroke. Instead, it found an association between high caffeine intake and an increased risk of cardiovascular issues. However, the study's authors suggest that people who consume more than 2 to 3 servings of caffeinated drinks daily should consider reducing their intake to protect their heart health. Additionally, people over 65 may be more sensitive to the effects of caffeine due to age-related changes in metabolism and kidney function, so it's especially important for seniors to monitor their caffeine consumption and avoid overdoing it. Number 3, hot chocolate. While hot chocolate may be a beloved beverage for many, especially during the winter months, it's important to be aware of its potential impact on your heart health. Hot chocolate is typically made with cocoa powder or chocolate, which contains a compound called flavanol. Flavanol is a type of polyphenol found in chocolate that has been linked to various health benefits, such as improving blood flow and lowering blood pressure. However, when heated, as in the case of hot chocolate, the structure of flavanol can change and become less beneficial for heart health. Some studies have suggested that heating flavanol may cause it to lose its antioxidant properties and potentially contribute to inflammation in the body. Chronic inflammation has been linked to various health problems, including heart disease. Additionally, hot chocolate is often high in sugar and calories, which can lead to weight gain and obesity, both of which are risk factors for heart disease. A recent study published in the Journal of Nutrition found that consuming high amounts of flavanol-rich cocoa was associated with an increased risk of cardiovascular disease. The study tracked the cocoa intake and health outcomes of nearly 21,000 adults over the course of several years. The researchers discovered that those who consumed more cocoa had a higher risk of developing cardiovascular disease, including heart disease and stroke. While the study did not prove that cocoa consumption directly causes heart disease, it suggests that it may play a role in increasing the risk of cardiovascular issues. For people over 65, it's especially important to be mindful of the potential risks of hot chocolate and other high flavanol cocoa products. As we age, our bodies become more susceptible to the harmful effects of inflammation and cardiovascular disease. Enjoying this video so far? Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button if you want to see more content like this. Let's move forward. Number 4. Alcohol. If you're over 65, you may be wondering how much alcohol you can drink without harming your heart. Unfortunately, there is no simple answer to this question, as it can vary depending on individual factors such as overall health, genetics, and lifestyle. However, according to the American Heart Association, adults over the age of 65 should limit their alcohol intake to 2 drinks per week and should never consume more than 2 drinks on any given day. Drinking more than this can increase the risk of various health problems, including high blood pressure, stroke, and heart disease. In fact, a recent study published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology found that even moderate alcohol consumption was associated with an increased risk of cardiovascular disease in adults over 65. The study tracked the alcohol consumption and health outcomes of nearly 16,000 adults over the course of several years. The researchers discovered that those who consumed 2 to 4 drinks per week had a higher risk of developing cardiovascular disease compared to those who abstained from alcohol. Additionally, the study found that older adults who consumed more than 2 drinks per week had an even higher risk of developing heart disease. Number 5. Sweet tea. Sweet tea is a popular beverage in many households, especially in the southern United States. However, many people don't realize that drinking sweet tea on a regular basis can be harmful to your heart health. Sweet tea is simply black tea that has been mixed with sugar or other sweeteners to make it taste sweeter. While black tea itself has been associated with various health benefits, including improved heart health. The added sugar in sweet tea can negate these benefits and potentially increase the risk of heart disease. According to the American Heart Association, consuming too much added sugar, including the sugar found in sweet tea, can lead to weight gain, high blood pressure, and inflammation, all of which are risk factors for heart disease. A recent study published in the journal PLOS Medicine found that consuming 1 or more servings of sugary drinks, such as sweet tea per week, was associated with an increased risk of developing cardiovascular disease. The study tracked the beverage consumption and health outcomes of nearly 75,000 adults over the course of several years. The researchers discovered that those who consumed 1 or more servings of sugary drinks per week had a higher risk of developing cardiovascular disease compared to those who did not consume these drinks. Additionally, the study found that the risk of cardiovascular disease increased with each additional serving of sugary drinks consumed per week. For people over 65, it's especially important to limit the amount of sweet tea and other sugary drinks consumed as we age. Our bodies become more susceptible to the harmful effects of added sugar and cardiovascular disease. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.